Hey my love, welcome back. My name is Montelle. If you are new around here and if you're returning, welcome. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing how I'm going to reinvent myself and change my life in 1 year. And I know that's a bold statement, and I know you've probably made similar statements in previous years, and before you know it, you blink and the year's over, you haven't achieved your goals, you haven't reinvented yourself, you haven't reached your full potential. This year, the cycle stops. And as you can see, it's now April, so this isn't something that you have to start at the beginning of the year, so please do not feel like you have to wait until next January to reinvent yourself. You can do that right now. In this very second, you can make that decision that you're going to change your life. I'm going to be sharing some practical ways that I plan on doing this myself, and hopefully it inspires you to do the same as well. If you are not yet subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, go pour yourself a drink, and let's get into it. So the thing that you really need to know about life is it comes in seasons. There's going to be high seasons, low seasons, seasons of confusion, overwhelm, seasons of massive success and opportunity. It's all going to ebb and flow. So it's important for you to be aware of which of the seasons you're currently in. And even if you're not currently happy with the season you're in, maybe you are in a lower season, a season of overwhelm, confusion, it is important for you to be present in that season and still embrace it as a part of life, knowing that life is going to come in different seasons and ebb and flows. So how I knew it was time for me to personally do a rebrand and reinvent myself was that I just didn't enjoy the season I was in. I was in a season of stuckness, overwhelm, in a season of doubt, and just feeling pretty bored with how my life was going. I mean, not all areas, but I wasn't happy with how I was evolving as a person. So I knew it was time for me to reinvent myself and to reconnect with who I truly am and what I truly want out of life, because it kind of felt like I was just allowing things to go. I was going with emotions and I wasn't really taking back that ownership and charge of my life like how I have done previously. This is not the first time I've reinvented myself. I've done it multiple times, and each time just really unlocks a new evolution of growth, evolution of self. And I just think it's so important to be constantly reinventing and rebranding yourself. And when I say reinventing yourself, it doesn't mean changing your name, completely changing your appearance, completely changing your interests and friendship groups. It doesn't mean that. It can just be the subtle changes that, like I say, unlock an evolution of you and who you are as an individual. When I went through my first rebrand, that's when I was first exposed to personal development, and I just left a really toxic relationship and I was ready to change my identity, dive into personal development. I was ready to explore new environments, experiences, make new friends. And that was my first evolution of reinventing myself, because I went from someone who had low self-esteem and low confidence, and I was able to break through that and become a person who's confident, who's really outgoing, who's a social butterfly. So that's an example of a reinvention, and you've probably done that in many areas in your own life as well. Becoming a business owner and self-employed and making money for myself, that is another evolution of self and a reinvention, me stepping into the role as a business owner, as a mentor, as a coach, as a guide. So there are just a few examples of how I've subtly been able to elevate my life. Now look back into your own experience in your life, because I'm sure you've reinvented yourself multiple times. Think back to when you got your first job or when you left university. You had to rebrand, you had to evolve yourself to adapt to your new opportunities, new experiences. So this is something that's going to be happening whether you like it or not. You are constantly evolving and rebranding. So the key thing for you to do is take control and ownership of that rebrand, and don't just let life happen to you. Let life intentionally unfold for you. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing to reinvent myself and change my life this year is deciding who I want to become. So in previous years, I would set goals and ambitions based on the material things that I wanted to achieve. So the career, the lifestyle, the experiences, the materials that I owned, they were what I would depend my success on. And that's what I'd focus on achieving, like a new car, X amount of money, all of this. And whilst it's important to have those goals and ambitions, you have to first focus on the person that you need to become in order to achieve those goals and achieve those material things. Because if not, you'll just find yourself year after year saying, I want to achieve this, I want to buy a house, I want to do this. But if you're not stepping into that right identity, you're not going to achieve it, because there'll be that misalignment of who you actually need to become in order to achieve these goals. So for me this year, a key focus is who I want to become. So the identity, the mindset, the behaviors, the rituals, the beliefs that I want to have within me, because I know if I work on my inner self and work on adopting the right mindsets and habits, then ultimately I will achieve the material and the physical, because I've aligned myself with the person who achieves such goals. Your identity is the single most influential factor of whether or not you are going to achieve success and do what it is that you said you are going to do. Because if you don't identify with the person who has such goals, ambitions, and material things, then you're not going to achieve it. You're going to stay exactly the same. So this year, try and focus on who you need to become as a person and building yourself from the inside out, and your outer experience will just start to reflect how you feel about yourself internally. Number 2 is that I am accepting and letting go past versions of myself. Previously, I had no problem doing this, and I found it really easy to let go past experiences and past versions of myself, and I allowed myself to evolve and blossom into who I wanted to be. However, more recently, it's been a bit difficult to do that, and that's because just before the pandemic in 2019, I've mentioned this in a previous video, but I was literally living my best life, and I was just about to break through in my career. I was receiving amazing opportunities, I was traveling, I was literally living my best life, and then it was all just kind of taken away from me. Well, it wasn't taken away, but it was just massively postponed, let's say, till right now. So it's been 2 years of me just not really being able to do what I really wanted to do and just feeling a bit lost. And I was just holding on to the identity of my 2019 self for way too long. And I was just thinking, I need to get back to traveling, I need to get back to my retreats, I need to be doing all these things. And throughout that process of me holding onto that identity, I found myself losing a lot of confidence and losing that self-assuredness that I used to have, because I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, and I was kind of just like not really doing anything. I mean, I've done a lot in this past couple of years, absolutely, but I was holding on to that person that I almost became and the career that I almost built, and it just held me back. So I had to learn to let go of that and realize that was a season in my life, and there's better seasons to come, and I'm going to elevate even further than I was back then. So it's just accepting and letting go of past versions of yourself, whether them versions are positive like mine, or if it's a negative version, just let go of it all. Break free. Like, give yourself the luxury of breaking free. Break all of the chains that are holding you down and holding you back, and from this day forward, just affirm to yourself that you're going to become a brand new person. You're going to allow yourself that freedom and that luxury to become whoever it is that you want to be. You can set all these goals, aspirations of what you want to achieve, who you want to become, but if you don't let go of that old version of yourself, if you don't let go of how everyone used to know you, or where you used to be, or your old environments, you're gonna still feel stuck, because it all starts in the mind. You have to work on your identity internally first, and then, as I've just said, your outer experience will start to reflect that. Number 3 is adopting the right habits and routines. The habits and routines that you have play a huge part in the success that you will see in life. Whatever your definition of success is, it's going to start with adopting the right habits and the right mindsets. So I know that you've heard of morning routines, evening routines, and you may just think that they're a bit gimmicky. I know there's so many videos here on YouTube about them, but they are very, very important. So I'm personally trying to practice more of a minimal mindset, because I've recognized the importance of having a routine, doing the exact same thing every day, or at least similar things, so that way you can reduce that additional stress off of your mind by having to constantly think, and then your routines and habits will really start to become second nature to you. If you think about what really creates success in life, it's consistency, and an easy way to get consistent is by having routines, knowing exactly what you're going to be doing and when, and sticking to those routines as well. So a key focus for me this year is adopting a morning routine and an evening routine. I know the evening routine is going to be a bit more difficult difficult, but I am gonna at least set maybe 1 or 2 things that I want to do in an evening just so I can get into that habit. But a morning routine is going to be a non-negotiable. There's things that I need to achieve in my life and I need to hit, and the only way I'm going to do that is by implementing these solid routines. And even if all I do for the next year is stick to my routines, that will be an amazing year for me. If I did nothing else, I just stuck to my routines, I'd be happy with that, because I know for sure by me just sticking to a morning and an evening routine, or even a weekly routine, by me just sticking to that, I know that obviously I will have more time in the day, I'll have more energy, and more things will get done. But the key thing is just focusing on setting those consistent rituals every single day and not overwhelming yourself with them as well. So for me, some of my key rituals daily/weekly are going to be going to the gym, getting up at a similar time in the morning, and filming and editing and recording for my YouTube, and then my hobbies and skills that I want to learn. So I'm learning Spanish, I'm taking pole fitness classes, and there's a few other things that I'm doing, but I'm not going to overwhelm myself with a huge morning routine, because I know for sure I won't stick to it. And also praying as well, how did I forget that? So prayer / journaling / meditation, that's all kind of one. And then gym, what else did I say? Pole fitness, regular eating. Anyway, it's starting to sound like a lot. It's not going to be a lot. I'm really going to simplify it as much as I can. And once I've got that structure, I'll definitely come back and I'll update you on a video on what that's looking like. But have a think about what your routines are going to be. Number 4, this kind of ties in nicely to the third one with habits. It's just simplifying my life. So I mentioned that I am trying to have more of a minimal approach to life, and another way I'm going to be doing that is by simplifying as much as I can in life. So you may have heard the term that 20% of your outcomes should produce 80% of the results. So what is that 20%? What are the 20% that you need to be doing in order to achieve 80% of the results? And I know for myself, it's going to be my habits, my routines, my rituals, and then my income generating tasks. They're going to be things that produce my results, and a few other things as well. But just really simplify as much as you can out of life. Look at everything that you do on a day-to-day basis, right down to things like getting ready in the morning, preparing for gym, preparing for school, work, whatever it is, meal prepping. Look at everything that you do on a consistent basis and think about how you can save time in those areas. How can you create a routine out of that? How can you prepare in advance? How can you batch things together so that you can simplify your life, free up more time, and focus on producing 80% of the result with just 20% of your action? Number 5 is creating a simple and easy to follow productivity system. So I've recently come across a productivity system which is called the 12-week year. I've got the book as well, which I'm working my way through. I've just found it to be a really interesting concept and a really great way for you to set goals and actually achieve them. So this would really be perfect for you if you are a creative, an entrepreneur, or generally someone who's just very impatient. Maybe you have ADHD or attention deficit. I found this to be really great because yes, it's good to focus on the long-term goals, but sometimes just having those long-term goals can feel very overwhelming and you feel like you've got all the time in the world to achieve them. Whereas if you focus on 12-week goals, setting yourself Whereas if you focus on 12 weeks at a time, so a quarter at a time, setting really intentional goals for just that 12 weeks and not looking too far ahead just yet, it will become more manageable because then you can break it down even further into weeks, and it's just so much more manageable. I am going to create a separate video going more in depth on my system and how I plan to use it. I know it's going to be very effective and I am really excited to achieve my goals through this system. And finally, number 6 on how I plan on reinventing myself and changing my life in 1 year is by being harder on myself and pushing myself to my limits. And I know some of you may not like to hear that and you think that you shouldn't be hard on yourself. And yes, I know that. I know that you should not always beat yourself up. And I know that's something that I am guilty of doing. However, I do think it is important that you have to push yourself. If you're someone who is ambitious, if you know what your potential is, you cannot be soft on yourself because you won't get anything done. If I'm not hard on myself, I will treat myself every day. I will have naps. I'll treat myself to Netflix. can't do it anymore. Not happening. If you really want success, you're going to have to push yourself to the limit. And I just feel like I've been sleeping on myself recently. I know what I'm capable of doing. So self-discipline and being harder on myself is needed. Now, of course, I am still going to show love to myself, and I'm going to stop beating myself up internally. And I'm going to stop the negative self-talk. However, when it comes to getting work done and when it comes to execution, if I don't do it, I have to be harder on myself. I have to do this because I have a huge responsibility that, yes, I've placed on myself, but it's still a huge responsibility to achieve all that I want to achieve in life and more. So the only way I'm going to do that is by pushing myself to the limit. So that's what I'm going to do. So that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear from you. Are you on this journey with me? Do you plan on reinventing yourself this year? And if so, how are you going to do it? Let me know down in the comments. Make sure you do subscribe if you're not already. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.